Yay. And now I'll start all over again with screen share. We guarantee prompt service no matter how long it takes. So Housing is a Human Right OC created this year in review to memorialize the lives of the over 380 people who died without fixed abode while trying to survive living on the streets throughout Orange County, California. And we have to remember that these are just the ones that the coroner, Orange County Sheriff Coroner, has reported. But we know that those people um, who were unhoused, who may have passed away while they were in the hospital or in temporary shelters or places like that, they're not added to this number, as well as those individuals that whose bodies may have been claimed by family or something of that sort. Um, they're not recognized as having passed without abode. Hopefully, you saw this flyer on social media, and that's partially what brought you to the meeting. Note the yellow in remembrance of our yellow T-shirts in the background. A quick little graphic from our website, and and of course a thank you to our grantors, the California Endowment, and our fiscal sponsor, which is OCO. Thanks for all that they have done and all that they have helped out to do. Um,
Dave, I also want to add that United Way actually support us in this past year with an equity and OC program that we participated in, and that bit of money has helped fill in some gaps. So while there are small amounts, they do give us some flexibility, certainly to be able to bring other people along, help us with some work, and also uh, make sure we get fed if we ever get to hang out together. So thank you.
no, thank you, Pat. Um, this is just a little sample of all of the HHROC logos that were used throughout the year in 2024. And currently, the social media from 2024, we participate in Facebook and Instagram, um, yeah, uh, and and others, but we are removing X from our participation in 2025 moving forward. We haven't done it yet, but the webmaster has got instructions to remove X in 2025. Um, Obviously, HHROC and various volunteers were in the news in 2024. And I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly, but the participation in the news is many people sometimes were either quoted or HHROC was named or recognized for something they did or didn't do or participated in or something of that sort, and that's what qualified them and to be listed in this PowerPoint. You can see we were there in May and September and in and out throughout the year. This is I was hoping Maura would be here to talk about this particular uh, news story from the San Clemente Times or South County Times. We don't get a lot of press from South County, but thank goodness they recognized. You can see our purple flag um, display at this particular church there in South County, because South County Homeless Task Force that Morup heads up did great work to get this done. Um, so that being said, I'd like to pass this over to Pat and Kimberly.
I just want to add one thing on this South County picture that you shared, because we did have other churches down that way and community groups. But this was actually started, and the pastor there saw the flag someplace, was inquiring, knew Maura. Maura had written an op-ed piece where she said, oh, she didn't even know this church was doing it. So it's just a kind of an ongoing awareness building, but it was a wonderful piece. And Maura's article, or the article that Maura is referenced in, is quite touching. And San Clemente has its issues, but there are people there who care quite a bit. So Kimberly, I'll pass it over to you.
Yes, our Housing is a Human Right Orange County newsletter. The platform is Action Network. Pretty good. If you are not signed up for the newsletter, please put your email in chat and I will make sure you do get signed up. The newsletter is a critical piece, clearinghouse for all the information you need about HHRC's activities. So please do sign up. And when you get it, please read it. It has many items. We hope to keep it fairly brief, but we include news, we include other activities, we include all of HHROC's actions and events. It was upgraded a little bit. Hopefully everyone likes it. But again, it's a critical piece about HHRC's operations. So make sure you read it. It goes out at the end of the week, Friday, Saturday. And I do solicit input and or ideas, same thing. In the middle of the week, if you're interested in being a contributor to the newsletter, like an action you want included, an idea you have, let me know. Email info@hhroc or do it in the text thread. Most of you are in that. Let me know what it is you'd like to add to the newsletter. And I'm going to pass it over to Pat.
Yeah, no, thank you. And big thank you. Look at that. Looks like we're at a party. That might be the picture that Eve and Wendy and Catherine will be in later. Just a general thank you. I did mention some resources, and we're able to have some talents that we can actually compensate folks for just a bit. And that includes Kimberly and Alice and Patrick and Rhonda and Bree, most of who are here tonight. We are always looking for talent that we can uplift. So please let us know. And if you see items in the newsletter you might want to help with, if we can create a project that you might help us on, we would love to entertain that. But again, so much and almost everything that we do is done by volunteers. We are not a nonprofit, but we have a fiscal sponsor. So we have some limits there, but everybody in this space is considered a volunteer. And boy, volunteers can get so much done. But again, thank you to everyone. Everyone in this space has touched us in some way, and we'll hopefully share this with others who couldn't make it with us tonight. And having said that, I want to pass it on to Tom, who's in this picture, and he's so darn cute. And this kind of gets into some of the work that we do in the area of mutual aid. While we are a Housing First group, we do a lot of community-based outreach because we can stay in touch with who's out there, know who's out there, and what some of the issues are that we're not hearing firsthand. Thanks. Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, so on the first Saturday of every month, or virtually every month, we gather at the Community Congregational United Church of Christ in Los Alamitos in their kitchen. And this has been known as Judy's Kitchen for, I think, at least a couple of decades now, Judy being the originator of the idea. And we prepare, I would say, an average of about 60 meals together. And most of those get handed out to food insecure seniors who live in an apartment complex behind the church. And the rest of them get passed out often by me, to folks on the street. And then the other activity that we support mainly through our physical labor is the Wednesday meals that are prepared each week by People's Homeless Task Force Orange County. And you can see us at work here in the driveway of Mike and Janine Robbins, who are basically started People's Homeless Task Force. And we been averaging about 200 meals a week lately, and these are distributed to unhoused folks in Anaheim and Santa Ana and Orange and sometimes Fullerton, just depending on where we can find them. So with that, I will pass it back to Pat.
Aha. Oh, look at that orange poster. Do you have one of these in your window at home? We can get you one and you can put it in your home. This also turned into a postcard. One thing I wanted to add about Tom, or what he said, Isaiah House, which is Catholic Worker, have offered us again a very generous help with acquiring food and a place to cook and the whole bit. You'll hear more about it, but we're so thrilled that Leah has opened that door once again, because again, we have a small budget, but having access to food to share can be increased quite a bit if the cost of food is not what we incur. And Tom does an amazing job with the food bank. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but they're not coming on top with proteins and other healthy, fresh items. So good stuff. But I wanted to address the Great American Write-In. I'm sure probably everybody in this room has been there, has helped out there, whatever. It's coming up again this year on March 29th. It's a Saturday at the Delhi Center. There's our friend Felicity, who will continue to take leadership in this. The Women for Orange County has been around for a gazillion years. Oh, there you go. See, I can get you more posters, Pat. Because that orange poster is great. I even had somebody here working on the house, and they came up to Dave and I and said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see that sign in your window," and certainly gave them one and sent it on their way. But we need to do some things in other languages as well. But with the Great American Write-In, the Women for Orange County has disbanded a reality check for bandwidth, but the League of Minority Voters has picked up on it and will continue this effort. And with the leadership and support from Lulu, who so many of us know and love. So if you've got a chance to join us, we're still working on topics. Many of our coalition partners are also in the room, and we try to support each other. We might have their handouts on the table. We might go over and harass them at their own table. And there's our yellow outfits. I wore mine tonight. And again, Felicity takes good care of us, and we're able to share information. John, oh, there you are. My face is there. John's in the room too, so that's great. And Lisa Pedersen, who does Poor People's Campaign, we hope we'll see her this year too. So that covers that. And Kimberly, you want to talk a little bit about onboarding?
Yes, once I'm unmuted, I can do that. So we've done 2 or 3 onboardings, and they're pretty powerful. It explains the Housing First model. It's a time, it introduces what HHRC is all about. And we prompt people to really think about why they're in this work. And if you're already in it, onboarding is for new volunteers, but also for present volunteers. And what we do is, through this introspection, recommit to the work. It's just a really good reminder. So we are relaunching it. It'll probably be quarterly. And I think it's essential for new volunteers and for present volunteers who want to kind of jump in a little bit to remember why we're in this work. Thank you. And I think this goes back to Pat.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Now, there's a favorite place we've come to know and love. This is the Den in Santa Ana, and it is where we have had the opportunity to meet a few times now. And earlier on in the year, we were able to have several of us here meet with Sandy Chang, who is the person who we work most with from the California Endowment. And they have been so generous and support the work that we do, primarily because we do look at intersections, we do look at community-based building. And again, we're so pleased. And we'll have other meetings with Sandy. She would like to see us grow, and wouldn't we all? But again, it's about bandwidth. So we're working through some thoughts. And again, if it's done on a coalition model, then all can benefit. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But it was just startling to have Sandy of the endowment approach us and say, could you use some resources? And we all kind of fell over. So we love it when we get a chance to talk to her. And she has a long history in the county and has other staff in the area. And many of the groups that are also represented in this room are also supported by the California Endowment. So look for an invitation maybe to spend some time with Sandy and others from the endowment. And Dave, you want to go for it with other sources? There you go.
All righty, thank you, Pat. So along with California Endowment's help, we were able to go ahead and partner with People's Budget Orange County to hire Civilytics Consulting to review the budget of the Orange County, and we asked them to focus on, of course, housing and where the money's going, and to see if the county is doing judicious work, if that makes sense, with because we felt that they weren't. Um, so again, this is Civilytics. They do this work around the nation. I think they're based in Montreal, Canada, actually. But also to give special thanks to Karen Hernandez. I was hoping she'd be in attendance, um, and People's Budget OC for partnering with us at HHROC, and the Civilytics team, of course, to highlight the truth about the Orange County budget. Um, this is Jared and Hannah. It's a two-person team, but together, let me tell you, these people really know their stuff. They are just amazing, and they're very nice. So it's been a pleasure. I'm going to give you, if I can do this, I'm going to guesstimate to where we're starting.
Most of these
Okay.
graphics will come directly from the Orange County Citizens Guide to the Budget and the budget document itself. So you can see these in there. So you can see that we're talking about the way the county is talking about the budget. These are the same numbers and the same figures that they're using for the most part.
So again, he made it very user friendly in the explanation of how things went. Um, and it's from that we learned, and this could be a whole different meeting on its own, that the county, with all due respect, is not doing judiciously what they should be doing for the communities. That's a little bit of commentary and a lot of truth backed up by a lot of their findings. So that being said, Pat, you want to
Sure.
take it from there?
And one of the things I want to add about the endowment is they value the notion that housing is healthcare because they do a lot of their work in health related spaces. And for me, my learning curve is that health is in many places where we provide childcare, where we do have housing, where we provide resources to folks who they may not other have it. What's that next slide?
Thank you.
But that has made a big difference. And with the budget work, and I want to turn this over to Eve, but in doing this budget work, and it will be coming up again very soon, just taking the truth, and you can see some of the signs there. We found, what was it, like 34 cents for a person in the county on housing related issues compared to over $100 per person for what the sheriff's budget looks like. And that's of their discretionary money, but it's it's very disproportionate to community needs. And community needs is not just housing. It's about healthcare. It's about how we treat folks, how our kids are cared for, and the whole bit. But Eve, do you want to share some of your reflections on kind of what's up when we go to the board meeting? You have taken over the fun job of putting stuff up on the overhead, which they watch. But again, having people in the space is key. And Kimberly's going to take leadership in getting us the information, doing the training. And if you come from a group, I want to make this offer. I didn't ask others, but I'm sure it's okay. If you come from a group that you'd like to know more about how the county does that work in their budgeting, we can ask Civilytics to take a peek at it. And as Dave said, they're very nice, but they make this all quite understandable, and they can go right to the pieces. Their whole career now is on a national scale, looking at budgets in municipalities, cities, states, the whole country. And they did study Orange County thanks to the interest that PBOC offered up. So we've got some new material this year. So Eve,
And
can I
Pat,
pass it to you?
Pat, before Eve starts, I'm going to just remind everybody who's in attendance that Orange County's budget has grown to a little over $9.5 billion. 9.5 billion. And of that, it's over $1 billion is discretionary funds. Civilytics findings were that over 50% of that $1 billion+ goes to law enforcement. And the numbers Pat was giving about the discretionary is true. 34 cents per resident, 34 pennies per resident goes to housing in Orange County, compared to $102 per resident that goes to law enforcement. Thank you. Eve?
Yeah, and that's just an obscene statistic that we brought in front of the Board of Supervisors, and which we do every year at our action to remind them that their budget is a moral document, that it's that it indicates their priorities. And their priority is really a law enforcement approach when it comes to houselessness, instead of an approach that would actually save lives and houselessness in Orange County, which they could easily do if they had different priorities. And this is a moral issue. And what we tell them is that your priorities do not reflect the moral values of our county, and we demand that they invest in housing instead of our system of social control. So it was an amazing, as it always is, an amazing and very powerful event. But the action includes more than just showing up in front of the Board of Supervisors. We also had a toolkit with various other ways that people could get involved. One of them was through a petition that people could sign, and this message went to the Board of Supervisors. And what I want to say about the petition is that increasingly HHROC expands its reach by and its coalition by finding intersections with other coalitions and groups. And one of the ways we did this year is through working very closely with People's Budget OC and other groups to create this petition and much of the toolkit, and to talk not just about housing justice, but about other, unhoused people are also immigrants. They're also people with health issues. They're also, people who are low income. And so the petition really talked about all of these different issues. It talked about community health, it talked about housing justice and houselessness. It talked about immigration justice. It talked about economic justice, and it talked about social justice. And you know, you could see that intersection of interests and issues at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and also when it came to the signers of the petition. So it was quite exciting. I think it's a great way that HHROC is working to expand its reach and its people power. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over, I think, to Dave and Tom.
Thank you, Eve. Tom, or Alice, do you want to start and tell them a little bit about the Anaheim Housing Community Forum? Tom?
Um, sure. So several members of HHROC attended this forum, and we saw the mayor of Anaheim speak at this forum. And we, part of the process, we split up into small groups and came up with answers to a variety of questions about housing in Anaheim. And I think the overwhelming response was that some kind of rent control is necessary to prevent further homelessness.
Yeah, thank you. And we partnered also with Kennedy Commission was the main one of the main groups, along with OCO and Accord, that hosted this event along with HHROC, and it was again a town hall community gathering. What was great to see is that there were families coming in with their kids, and you'll see a little bit later with their kids, and this was early in the meeting as people are starting to arrive, and we got a chance to see the presentation. We broke up into groups and talked a little bit about what people's needs are. You can see Tom on the left-hand side with his yellow shirt on, his yellow HHROC shirt on. And then the mayor responded. Here we have one of the HHROC co-founders. Because you don't see her much in our meetings, don't think that she's not still participating. That's Janine Robbins at the podium, um, one of our co-founders from back in 2017, and the room is starting to fill. And the take on this, I think Tom had mentioned it in the conversation we had, is that the mayor didn't get it. The mayor still thinks that the city is doing a great job, even after hearing people talk about being evicted, even after hearing people talking about living in their cars, even after hearing people talk about having people who died because they were living on the streets. Um, uh, the mayor apparently was deaf to all of that and still was trying to tell the room that things are great in the city. Um, so let me see here. I have to turn the page on my notes. And this goes to actually, it's me and Rhonda.
Yes.
So thank you, thank you. Uh, as you can see, this is HHROC and Resilience OC that partnered on this again virtual meeting. Justice is on the ballot. So again, what we did is we brought information about housing first. We brought information about some of the real important um, propositions that were upcoming. I think Eve you can chime in on some of that, and Tom. Roberto from Resilience OC got a chance to present about, I don't remember if it was Prop 33 or Prop 5. And Alice also contributed uh, uh, quite a bit in regards to housing and other things. But it was a great meeting, and I've got another opportunity to, let's see if
Having
this will
said that,
work.
there's that recording, but
California's houselessness disaster. I want to call it a disaster, and it is certainly a disaster in Orange County. So currently, city and county affordable housing bonds.
That just was a sample. Thank you. Um, we had John Underwood. I think he's in the room here. Also presented Pat, myself, Tom. It was quite informative, and we're hoping to do that again on the next election cycle in a couple of years, maybe even sooner. Um, and this is Alice and Tom. Can you talk a little bit about partnering here? We were invited to table by Resilience OC at an affordable housing and tenants' rights meeting at the Norma Herzog Community Center in Costa Mesa.
Well, this was another excellent community meeting that had pretty good attendance. Just from people in the community who wanted to know what was going on, and once again they highlighted the issue of rent control. Just echoing what the Anaheim Housing Community Forum came up with.
Alice,
And
Yes,
somebody's,
somebody's
somebody
somebody
has.
needs to mute.
yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it to be an absolutely extraordinary event to see so many families present. They had childcare, they had food, they had translators. I sadly had to use the English speaking translating machine when they were speaking in Spanish. But as you'll see in the upcoming slides, the women that presented, oh my gosh, these powerful women that first language Spanish speaking, and the power of their alliance that has been so strong in providing for them the advocacy and the actual actions that have come from their advocacy in Sacramento and in Costa Mesa and in Santa Ana, and their ongoing advocacy as it translates and goes to the next generation of young people who are as active in the forum of renters' rights and justice issues was just overpowering. I was overwhelmed and just so excited and so celebrating of the power of the individual who steps up and speaks their truth. So I enjoyed the day a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. The speakers, I don't see Roberto having a little bit of water over by the podium on the left-hand side, but some of the presenters were Manny Escamilla. Manny is the policy analyst, I think, for Supervisor Sarmiento. We have Jesse Lopez seated in the center, councilwoman in Santa Ana, and Arliss Reynolds on the far right, also a councilwoman there in the city of Costa Mesa. Their presentations were great, and Manny actually recognized, and he said it out of his own mouth, that the county needs to do better. That was refreshing to hear. And Lopez and Reynolds didn't sugarcoat anything. They did recognize that there's huge housing need, and they were in favor of rent control if they could get more of their council members to recognize that, and more housing. So
Also, the Kennedy Commission also is part of that program, and you were as well, David.
yeah, the room hadn't emptied, so I had an opportunity. I was asked to give a few words about HHROC and our findings with what the county has been doing with the budget. And again, none of this would have been possible without being educated by Civilytics. But yeah, thank you, Alice. Rhonda, are you still with us?
Yes.
So we're coming into hunger and homelessness awareness. And Rhonda, you want to take it from here and tell us a little bit about your magnificent flyers that you created for HHROC?
Um, sure. This one was this was actually the last in a packet. This was the call to action sheet, which basically was telling what we can do to, volunteer and to donate our, time and donate money also. But the sheets that were before this, um, this one particularly was a worksheet that basically was a way of having people use a budget, a food stamp budget, to grocery shop for the week on what a normal person, well, actually, what the max amount of food stamps you would get for the week would be, which is actually not what most people's food stamp budget would be, but that's just like if optimum, would be. And then this one is for donating to OC Food Bank. And then on that note, I will pass it to Tom so he can discuss the OC Food Bank donations.
So thanks, Rhonda. So I am a buyer at the Orange County Food Bank for the People's Homeless Task Force, Orange County. The only reason that HHROC isn't a buyer at the Orange County Food Bank is that we're not a 501c3, but PHTFOC is. So, so one of the things that I've learned is that while the food bank does accept donations of food, it's far more efficient to give them money, to give them cash. The food that they sell to us costs at most 6 cents a pound, and a lot of it is free. Perishable food, for example, frozen food is often free there. So I think as part of hunger and homelessness awareness, the Orange County Food Bank allowed people to set up a donation page that would, earmark all the donations for the Orange County Food Bank, in the name of whatever organization sets it up. So we did set that up. We raised a modest amount of money. Every dollar that we raised buys 4 meals. So if you think about your own budget for food, I think you'll be impressed at how much they can buy. And I think with that, I will pass it back to Eve and Dave.
Thank you, Tom. and I'll go through this quickly. We set up another website that where people could go ahead and take a short survey to find out if they'd be willing to talk about being food insecure. We did get a number of responses, and it's amazing that people working full time are still food insecure, but that has to go with, again, paying most of their money to rent, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and within that website, um, we offered them to, if they were able to donate um, actual money, like Tom had said, or if they can't donate, maybe they want to volunteer. If they can't do that, maybe they want to give public comment at a city council or board of supervisors, or maybe they want to just sign up to receive our newsletter. And, or maybe if they didn't need anything but still wanted to help, maybe if they knew somebody who might be food insecure, they could click on this and and see if that person might qualify for some food assistance. Um, Eve, do you want to talk about the survey of hunger and food insecurities that we did and things of that sort?
Sure, just briefly. I, you know, in HHROC, we're always looking for creative ways just to engage people and hopefully encourage them to join our movement and to like understand our, all of our collective and common interests. And one of the things that we did was this survey, which I thought was quite creative. And it was both, like if you took the survey, it was both educational and it allowed the person taking the survey to then share their own experiences too. So it had like information like that, like around 14% of Orange County residents are food insecure. Of course, like more children, about 20% of children, just completely inexcusable in a rich county like Orange County. And then it allowed people to give their opinion on whether they thought the Board of Supervisors was doing enough and space to tell their own story. And then at the end, it provided folks with ways to get involved and to indicate the types of ways that they would like to get involved in the survey. So again, just like a very creative way to just lift up hunger and homelessness awareness and use that as an opportunity to draw folks in.
Thank you, Eve. Kimberly?
Yes. I was not at this one. I was at the one on the 9th.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Pat, do you want to take this one?
Let's
I
see
did
here.
make the
Sorry.
flyer though.
Yeah, I think it was Rhonda. Because it really was a productive evening. Rhonda, do you want to share? Because you and Eve, we were looking at food for thought. And again, anytime we gather, we get a lot of stories, sharing, personal experiences. But Rhonda, you want to uplift what happened that night? I brought food.
Oh.
That was my contribution.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very I think it was a very emotional evening. Actually, we told a lot of personal stories and um uh for me it was a very emotional evening because I just lost my cousin on the streets. Um and and I think all of us just telling how we got involved and then also, for me it was also personal on, doing the food survey. You know, I am um I am food insecure. So, on that level, those numbers came from my own personal experience. I made those flyers based on my own personal stuff. So, uh it was all just kind of a little personal, and I think all of us shared our own personal experiences, which was very kind of, knitted us all together in a way that was, it was very, it was very moving for all of us, I believe. It was nice.
Yeah, I'll
And
say
being,
I'll never forget that evening, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And being at the bookstore was the perfect setting. If you or your group haven't organized something there, Liz Gracian is so hospitable. I mean, I go by often and there's always something going on in the back there. So we so appreciate her bringing us into the space. She joined, she's there in the bottom right-hand corner. She joined in. She was pretty intrigued by it all too. And I think everybody at that table had some story of some part of their life and family stories that we were all in the same space. We just don't always notice that or know that. So thank you, Rhonda, and Eve too. Um,
It is a
we-
great place to meet.
Yep,
It
Absolutely
absolutely.
is.
great
They're
place to
very
meet.
open to it as well. So
Okay, so this one, Dave,
Yep.
I was at this one. Um, it was an incredibly powerful evening. It was with poignant storytelling, people who are impacted primarily being without housing, without shelter. It was, we had it to bring awareness, and it was very powerful in that we were able to make space for impacted individuals to share their experiences. And anyways, I just think it was really powerful. Was powerful. Was anybody else there that night on the 9th? It was the night of storytelling. Would you like to
I
say
was there.
something?
Yeah, I was there also, and I agree 100%. It was also, there was a lot of tears on that night, a lot of tears.
Yeah,
There
I
was
was,
also, pardon me, go ahead, John.
okay, thank you, Alice. Yeah, I popped in that night as I'm popping in the photograph there. And it was a very open-ended and a very, the vibe was very giving that night. I felt so comfortable as if I was, among family, really. And it was especially gratifying for me to stretch out a little bit without a 2-minute rule to be able to tell some stories that I've been wanting to tell for some time myself, and everyone was uh, deeply respectful of the storyteller, and each one of us recognized that we all had currency to in the stories that we were telling, and everyone seemed committed to that evening, and it was a very special evening for me. I appreciate that evening and everyone who was there.
Yeah, it
Alice,
really was powerful.
I would
Alice, were you
say it
going to say
was,
something? Yeah.
yeah, I was just going to say that one of the reactions I had was a deeper understanding of what it means to be compassionate and also to be joyful and also to be one with people that in the initial coming were perfect strangers, and we left as John said, almost like a family feeling. So I was grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you, Alice. You and Sharon want to go ahead and take over from here?
Yes, we were part of
Who is making
we
that
were
noise?
I'm
Kimberly?
sorry, I'll get it. Just give me a minute.
Okay,
Okay,
Sharon
thank you.
was able to help me in a very tough situation of trying to set up at Orangewood Foundation, who were the hosts of the United Way three meetings in the South County, Central County, and Northern County. We tabled at this event and joined in the tabling. Um, interaction, which was quite quite amazing because we learned a lot from the people at the table. They used a methodology at our tables once the actual meeting took place that was very similar to the narrative lab um, convening that I was to in September, the end of September. We were well received. We were given at first a half table, and then as people did not enter, United Way was very gracious to allow us to have more space and to have all of our products and information leaflets available, as well as you can see back here in the back toward the back of the table, the purple flag. So we were able to uphold the upcoming memorial in December, and people were quite interested. Patty, I don't know if you're here, but you might want to talk about our interaction and what resulted as you came to that table. I think that would have been at Tapestry, South County. Patty's not here.
Oh,
Anyway, I met,
I'm just
okay,
computer
go ahead.
challenged. Just a little computer challenged at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it was a real awakening for me. It was possibly the first real event I'd gone to where I met people involved in trying to address homelessness and various other social issues and that. And I mean, I just felt like, wow, I found a group that I need to find out more about, and and here I am. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, is Father Chris with us?
Nope, he's not here.
Maybe you and Alice can share on the
Sure.
rest?
And monthly, we mentioned and dedicated this event to those who passed on the streets without fixed abode. Well, our very own Father Dennis from St. Benizi has a monthly interfaith service that he does, that during which we read the names, give updates on what's going on. And we're North County, but we do the whole county, and it's very compelling, very touching. He has continued to be a strong advocate, and as you keep going through the slides, you'll also see that there are several articles. If you read Voice of OC, and if you don't, you need to start. He has almost monthly articles where he uplifts the situation, the count, always challenging the county on something they've either said or done out loud during that period of time, and brings it back to haunt them just a tad. Of course, with a very spiritual side, I'm sure. We'll let Father Dennis know I described it that way. And Alice, I know you've joined us too, but you want to share a little thought on how that worked or works, because it's ongoing. It's the second Tuesday around 12:15. It's a fast service, and at the same time, we can hang around and chat sometimes, depending on how many other things he's doing right after.
And the service, though it's an interfaith service, Father Chris really does try to manage to bring prayer or remembrance through poetry or other ways, so that each faith that is represented at that meeting can be uplifted as well. We are people who have that need for something above our ordinary lives, and he enables us to touch that space and to come away very I cry at the end of it. It's just very profound.
Yeah. And we always see names we know, which is painful. And Eve, I want to give you the option to look at what's coming up next with some smiling faces.
Oh, yes. Well, it's all, and Catherine's not, or Wendy aren't here, right now.
No,
So
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just go ahead. But this is Catherine Moore, and Wendy and myself at the ACLU Bill of Rights dinner back in, I think, like November or December of last year. November, okay, November 10th. And what always warms my heart is when people with lived expertise in houselessness become leaders in the movement. And that is really what has happened with Catherine Moore, who has done everything from, represent the ACLU of Southern California, where I work, in many venues, as well as, in front of the United Nations. And so she was honored at our annual Bill of Rights dinner, and she got up and gave an amazing speech where she talked about her advocacy. She talked about, her work with HHROC, and she talked about the importance of being part of a movement like ours. At the Bill of Rights dinner, she was in very good company. Like other speakers included celebrities like Mark Ruffalo and, like I can't remember everyone, but because I'm not like big on following who's a celebrity these days. But she represented, and it was just like to me, this is like one of my favorite things about being part of a movement like ours is when folks just blossom and become leaders in the movement. And I will pass it along to Pat and Alice to talk about Black Friday Purple Flag memorial action.
Would this be Pat Alviso or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Pat Alviso. There
Okay,
you go.
I keep jumping in whenever time somebody says Pat, I jump, I go, what?
We're together. You got it.
Hey, Alice. Yeah, we in
Oh, Sean's here
during-
too. That's fun.
there you go, Sean. Yes, thank you. You have for the Orange County Peace Coalition in solidarity and as a partner with Housing as a Human Right OC got together and we decided, like we did last year, to do something a little different for Black Friday. And so you see the picture here in front of Hobby Lobby in Cypress. That was actually the second action we did. And we had a lot of street traffic, not a whole lot, but we sure had fun putting up that giant display there that had those flags. I mean, everybody, you couldn't miss it. And so some people from the Orange County Peace Coalition were there at one, along with our members with Housing as a Human Rights. And then we, earlier we were at the Tustin Marketplace where the traffic really was crazy because everybody was shopping, but they saw our signs and we got the respect, and it was a very moving experience.
Sean, how about your expression for that day?
I think that it's really great that we've continued this tradition, right? Where, so many people have been sort of conditioned through advertising into, going shopping, the day after Thanksgiving. And, being physically present, and giving folks an opportunity to to think about something else, something that's happening, right in our backyard and is affecting so many people. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for the organizing that went into it and to have been a part of it. Thank you.
This year we tried to get some flyers out, but we just didn't get a lot of cars going by that slowly that we could actually get that kind of attention. So we'll have to figure out some more places next year where we'll get the word out more.
Well, we won't be
Right.
run over by the traffic going to the stores.
Yeah, or do something for at least getting the information out more. I mean, you can put it on signs,
Yeah.
but when people want to know more. And we had these great flyers and these handouts where they could they could put their donations in if they really cared. Like so many people that were honking appeared to feel like they wanted to contribute. But yeah, we'll have to figure out something a little different next year.
And anybody that is new to this particular action, we invite you to join in next year.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. So late in the year, December 21st, every year is the longest night. And that's when we recognize and honor those who have died without abode. without fixed abode in Orange County. Um, this year we did it virtually online. Here's only a few of the people. You'll recognize some of the faces. But like Tom's not in the picture. He said he was in the restroom or something like that. And there was a few other people who participated in reading the names of the 380 who passed. Um, the purple flags, these are the names of those individuals who lost their life while trying to survive living on the streets. And we know that this is not everyone. We know that those people who were unhoused, who maybe died in the hospital, their names were not added to this list, or maybe they were in a temporary shelter of some sort or temporary housing. And if they died there, their name is not added to this list. Also, if their bodies were claimed by family members, their names are not added to this list. And the problem with all of that is that they don't, they're not recognized. And uh, nobody deserves that. Just a little sampling of our banners that we created. Here's some personalized banners that people hung during with the purple flag displays
Do you have
at
the
their
ones that, yeah, at El Centro too?
Yep, we're gonna get there. You'll get to see
So
yourself.
here's Rona, if you're still in the room, thank you for this photo. It's great.
You're welcome.
And such a great display at Tapestry and supported by Welcoming Neighbors Home.
We appreciated you all doing all the work to provide
Yeah.
all the materials.
Thank you. Pat Alviso, you want to say a little something about this?
Sure, Alice and I
yeah.
put this one together with a few of everybody's help at El Centro Cultural. That is second year of hosting the Purple Flags. We thought we would try to do something more in the community with the church. They're all on board, but we thought we'd try something different. They've been just so wonderful, helping us put them up and taking them down and storing them for us at El Centro because they really believed in this project. I brought some of my high school students. You can see them in there hammering away. So that was pretty cool.
This is
Oh,
this is great.
Yep.
That little kid is my grandson. The little one.
Yeah.
Put him to work.
Well, and they're always so receptive. This is Marco at the Salvation Army. It's their residence group. And again, for the Salvation Army Center of Hope to give space was quite powerful. And we had over 19 different purple flag displays throughout the county. And if you want to keep advancing, Dave, again, this is where we hold Judy's Kitchen at the Unitarian Church in Anaheim. I was so touched when Jamboree Housing, 3 different residential locations, reached out, and they had huge banners, they had flag displays, they did information. We did invite them to the reading of the names. This is Decarcerate OC, and this is also the village where there are many nonprofit or physically sponsored groups meet, and again, a lot of foot traffic. So what you've seen in this big piece at the end is that from the middle or beginning of November, with hunger and homelessness being addressed and the educational pieces that go with it, Purple Flags up for 6 to 8 weeks, culminating in the reading of the names. But on longest night, we do the reading, and ours is a little different. You'll see faith communities that do just beautifully solemn rituals around the reading of the names. Alice was participating in one. Ours is a little different. We do honor and read names, but we insert stories, memories, kind of address what possibly is going wrong in this county that we would lose this many people in this period of time. The number this year wasn't as much as the year before, but it's still too many. And I think Tom often touches on the topic that more people die than secure permanent housing. And if that's the way we're going to meet our housing goals, something is very wrong. And if you want to go ahead and advance that, um, but again, we ask for community partners to join us. If you can think of people, start asking now. We'll make banners for anybody who wants one and can post it. And we do ask for a commitment of several weeks. Kimberly worked her tail off getting around. And this is a count at least up through October of the cities and where folks died. Now, again, some of these cities have hospitals, so they have a higher number because people died in the hospital. But this is pretty touching. Do not believe 0 is 0. It usually means something else is going on. But of our 34 communities, most had somebody die there. And John is wonderful. He'll help us update the names, as is Father Dennis, for folks that we know died and didn't make the list. So then at the end of the purple flags, the longest night, we now have started going to the Board of Supervisors that January following that very compelling 2-month period. And this last year, we went on January 23rd. Many people there reading the names. This is a picture taken a little late in the day, but you see many of our coalition partners who were in the room joined us, again, reading the names. The board always tries to stop us, which is pretty hysterical, and we always continue reading them. So it's a group effort, and we love the fact that different people are getting up telling the stories. Tom, do
Yeah,
you want to?
along
Go
those
ahead.
lines, Pat,
Right.
one of the things I remember from that event at the Board of Supervisors is that they appealed to the county attorney
That was this
as to
year.
whether or
This year.
not, right,
Yeah.
right, as to whether or not they oh, right, this wasn't from last year, but yeah, this
Right.
year's, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they appealed to the county attorney as to whether or not we should be allowed to proceed, and
Is this
he sided with
appropriate for
us.
this item? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And look at those cute
Was that
storage
Riley
containers.
and me
One
in that
thing,
picture?
words, and we're coming to an end. Huh?
They
Go
also,
ahead,
Was
Rhonda.
that Riley and me in that picture?
It
Yep.
is. Go
Yeah.
back. See? There you are. Aren't you cute?
we also did a
That was
work.
Other friends in the
that was before I got involved.
We,
Well,
I
you
was just
heard
there for
about
the
us and you
reading.
hung out and showed up and had that wonderful shirt on, and we've been buddies ever since. So I
You
love
were
that.
involved, you just didn't know it yet.
That's true. I was involved the year before too for the reading.
But and
We
your
also
mutual
had-
aid work is just amazing. So we're so happy that this can become another home for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is our storage. Go ahead, Tom, and we can
Yeah,
wrap this up.
so back at the Community Congregational United Church of Christ, where that hosts Judy's Kitchen, in their kitchen, these are those were the two storage containers that they've purchased and cited next to their fellowship hall. And this is the picture from the inside of our container, and some of the shelving that we've installed, or that Pat and Dave have installed. And yeah, so
We still have, sorry,
Uh,
Tom, we still
no, go
have
ahead.
maybe, but that's okay. We still have 3 or 4 boxes of shelving that we haven't yet put together. So maybe in the upcoming weeks, we can get some volunteers to put these together so we can better organize the storage container. But that's all I really wanted to say. And
And we
um,
we get donations. You saw the bags on the shelves and stuff. That first that first rack is almost empty because they're starting to go out now, but several churches, other groups collect things and bring them to us, and we just need to have a sorting party there at Judy's Kitchen at the church. This is a major thank you. I'm going to let Dave and Eve close us out, and
yeah.
certainly open to comments that we might hear from others, because everybody remembers things a little differently, which is why it's so fun.
So thank you, Pat, and thank you everybody who made comment and everybody in attendance. You can see thank you printed in different languages. I can read one of them, maybe two, but that's about it. But this photo was my favorite as we're putting the PowerPoint together because it it really symbolizes, I think, who HHROC is, who we've become. So, Eve, any comments?
I actually just want to give out a big shout out to Dave who put this PowerPoint together, which is it just like every year we get stronger and but we need to remember our accomplishments and we need to take a moment and pause and just appreciate all of the work and the emotion that we've put into this work over the previous year. So just a big thanks to Dave for putting this together and giving us that opportunity to do that tonight.
Can I get a volunteer to read this?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Housing is a Human Right. Orange County would like to recognize and give special thanks to all the volunteers, groups, and entities who shared their valuable time and efforts to co-sponsor, contribute, and support HHROC's meetings, actions, and events through collaboration, shared values, and beliefs that housing is truly a human right and that housing is healthcare that can save lives of people of all ages living without fixed abode throughout Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. So this is an alphabetical list of all of those entities, groups that in some way, shape, fashion, or form co-sponsored, partnered, contributed, spent some time, wrote a letter, or did something with HHROC to help 2024 become successful.
And 2025 is well on its way. And we hope these partners and more. And Rona has a lovely idea for other flag displays. Seriously, think right now of who you might ask to host one of those displays. And will it be budget actions? We've talked about doing an altar possibly at the Board of Supervisors and go from there. And I wanted to ask if there are folks in the room who have thoughts to share, brief thoughts to share. I'm going to grab an action that I want to post in the chat, and that relates to tomorrow's Board of Supervisors meeting. But folks who are here, have been at different events, something you saw in this wonderful review that you'd like to volunteer to do, join in with us. I love Patty's story, and Alice, look at that. Alice, our main recruiter. We got to send her out more places. That's an idea. But what a great connection. But thoughts, reactions, and I'll go look for this piece to throw in the chat in hopes you all might send out an email tonight if you can, if you're not
And
able to go to the
I'm gonna stop the recording so you don't have to squelch whatever it is that you're